Hey guys, welcome back to another plant channel. My name is Rachel. If you're new here, I would love it if you would take a second to like and subscribe. Today, I want to share with you my February plants. I have 3 plants that are rocking and killing it this month, but then I also thought it'd be kind of fun to show you the flip side of that coin, and I have got 6 plants to show you that are kind of struggling or maybe getting me just a little bit nervous, and I've got to keep an extra eye on them. So let's start with the good ones first. And I'm going to just start right off with my Monstera Adansonii. You've seen this before. I picked this up about a year ago to the day almost from when I'm filming this. It was like Valentine's weekend of last year, and it's Valentine's weekend of this year. So let me just go through this real quick. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop up a picture when I first got him. And when I first got him, he was gorgeous too. But I wanted a wide Adansonii for so long, and I was never able to find one. So when I found one, it was a good price. I got it from Bark and Vine, which I have mentioned multiple times on my channel. But look at how much growth this has put on in a year. I've actually got it on that trellis that I showed you in my haul. I've put 2 of them together with zip ties because it outgrew the first one. And then I kind of just have this sitting. It's a window with a south-southeast exposure, but it's in that wooden part between the 2 glass panes. So you have like a window here and a window here, and then there's that wooden part in the center. And I have it sitting there, so it's getting light kind of like from the sides, but nothing directly blasting the leaves. And it seems to love that. So, I mean, of course, it's in my plants of the month. It's probably one of my favorite plants in my entire collection right now. Another one that has done so well for me is my Philodendron mayoi. And we are starting to get some really pretty, kind of more mature looking leaves. So this one also was something I brought home last February. And I got this as a, I think it was a single leaf. I'm going to put a picture in case I had more than one. I don't remember right now. But it was a cutting in water. I got it at a local store called Flora Good Times, and that's in Beacon, New York. So if you're in the Hudson Valley, anywhere near there, that's a great store to check out. They have all kinds of plants. They have common ones, they have rare ones, and then they also have a wall of propagations, which is where this came from, which is really fun because I like kind of getting something rare, affordable, and kind of growing it out. So I am just so proud of how this guy is doing. And this is a pot from Walmart. This is the Mainstays brand, the 4.5 inch pot. And I think these are like $2.80 some cents, but they are the perfect size to hold nursery pots in. And this is one of those Target trellises that I also talked about in my last video. And then the last plant that I want to show you for this month's favorite plants is my Epipremnum amplyssimum. And this guy has made such a comeback. I got this last year. I don't remember the month, but it was cold out because I remember it came with a heat pack. So I want to say maybe like January. It's been about a year. I got this with, I think it had 2 or 3 leaves. This is the only original leaf left. So I got it. I let it acclimate in its pot like you're supposed to do when things come in the mail because it came from Florida and it came to New York in January. So it was cold. But I let it do its acclimating, and then about, I don't know, like a week and a half in, 1 leaf went yellow. So I was like, okay, you know, it's still acclimating. Then a second leaf went yellow, and then this one you can see it's not as dark green as the others. So then I started to panic because I'm down to 1 leaf, and I was like, I've got to get this out of the soil. I have to check it. Every single root was mush and rotten off. So this was the first time I had ever dealt with root rot. And I cut everything completely off, all of the roots. And I did the hydrogen peroxide where you dip it in hydrogen peroxide in water to kind of kill any bacteria on that little stem part that you can. Then I let it dry out overnight because that is what the internet recommended and it seemed to work. And then I put it in water. And I started from scratch with 1 leaf and like the little section of node. And a year later, this is where we're at. So this was my first time ever kind of rehabbing a plant. And this is what led me into being able to import things from like Ecuagenera and not worrying as much with the plants in the mail because they're really resilient. And this guy is proof of that. So he is also in one of those Walmart pots. I love those pots, like I said, for they're the perfect size for this. Now, on to my problem children. I don't have my philodendron tortum here. I showed you that in my haul, and I went through the whole story of how that showed up with a couple of rotten roots when I repotted it. So like I said, I'm keeping an eye on that, but I'm cautiously optimistic. It had enough roots where I think it's going to be able to sustain the amount of leaves it had. So we are going to cross our fingers and keep hoping that it does good. First guy I'm going to show you is my Schismatoglottis. And this one is marked as a Schismatoglottis mottliana. And this one I was so excited for, and I do think I showed this back in the fall in a haul video. Well, I brought it home in probably November, and then it was time to decorate for Christmas. So all my plants go upstairs for Christmas, and they're under grow lights and whatever. But I'm not like walking through my living room looking at them every day. And that was a big mistake because I went up like 2 or 3 days after I had moved them, and this plant was covered in thrips. Now they were all like the white thrips, so I think they were younger and they didn't fly yet, hopefully. But that started a whole weekend of treating everything up there because I had moved them all close together. So you can see that the damage has been done on the leaves. I've since haven't seen any. It's been about 2.5 months. And I just did my second systemic treatment because the systemic lasts about 2 months. And I haven't seen any more. So I do think I took care of the problem, but the damage was done before I caught it. A lot of the leaves have like blackened and dried up parts, and I've had to cut off quite a few. We are getting new growth, so I think we're on the other side of the issue, you know, coming away from the problem, but I do keep a really good eye on this one now because I want to be sure that they're not still there. Because with thrips, they lay their eggs in the leaf. So like manually removing them doesn't always get rid of the problem because the problem could already have, you know, it could be manifesting even though you think you wiped them all off and you killed them. When that batch of eggs hatches, you're back at, you know, square one again. So that's why I do systemic. I think it, along with the manual removal, I think it does a better job. Okay, who's next? All right, so this one here, I showed you this in a haul too. This is my Uliarum Dunburnsii, and I'm not specifically having problems with him, but he's not doing anything. So the second leaf that was with it, that was kind of damaged in shipping, and I knew that was going to go, so that wasn't a surprise. But I haven't seen any new growth. And it always makes me nervous when a plant is just one leaf because I feel like I want to see more leaves. I want to know that it's doing good. So I am just, you know, I watch this guy to see what happens. So we'll see. But it's not specifically having any issues. Maybe it just has to acclimate. It did come here to me in January. You know, maybe I didn't show that in a haul. I got this one when I was actually sick with COVID. This got shipped to my job, so I had my mom pick up my mail and leave it on my porch, and then I ran out and brought it in before it got cold. But I don't know, I want more leaves, so we'll keep an eye on that guy. All right, next up I'm going to show you my whalefin snake plant. So this is another one. When I put it upstairs for the season, I noticed that it had popped out 3 new pups. So I was really excited. And this one is just freshly watered too. I literally watered it like an hour ago. So I'm not worried about this. Is, you know, it's not being overwatered right now. This big leaf here was the original leaf, and it used to be about that tall. So I noticed that the bottom of it was starting to get a brown, mushy soft spot. So of course I wanted to unpot it because it, you know, it started out just a little discolored, and I was like, okay, maybe it's just because the plant's pushing stuff out. Maybe it's using energy and the old leaf is dying off. I don't know if that's how it works. If any of you guys have had this plant and it's pushed out a bunch of new growth, did you lose the original leaf? Let me know. So I just went in, I unpotted it, I separated all the babies, and then the original piece here is literally now just a cutting being propped up by stakes. So I'm hoping it'll just root in the soil, and we'll see what happens. It didn't have any rotten roots, which was weird. It was just the leaf itself rotting, but none of the roots were mush. So that was what made me think that maybe it was just like a lack of energy, like maybe it, you know, pushed out new leaves and the old one dies off. But we'll see. I'm trying to reroot it just a little bit shorter. And I know that this is the time of year that plants naturally slow down, so things like that are prone to happen, like the Uliarum losing a leaf, things like that. And this next guy I think is probably an example of that as well. This is my Polexia olivaceae, and this is a terrestrial orchid. I got this at an Ecuagenera pop-up because I loved those leaves. My mom showed it to me, and I was like, all right, I know nothing about terrestrial orchids, but I want to try with this guy because it's really pretty. So, this guy started out with 5 leaves. Within the past month or so, it's lost 2 leaves. Now, it does appear to have a new growth point coming out, which I am hoping will do something, because the last growth point that it had put a leaf out to maybe like here, and then the whole thing just browned and died off. This has also just been watered. Everything I'm showing you was like just watered today. So I'm just hoping that this is just kind of like a, you know, like a slowing down because it's winter, and it'll pick back up when spring comes, and I'm hoping that this leaf will come out all right. Now my Anthurium veitchii is doing the same thing. The lower leaves are yellowing, which is perfectly normal, perfectly normal. And normally I wouldn't worry, but you can see that one's a little bit yellow. And it's not lack of nutrients, I don't think, because I have been fertilizing it when it's growing. This is the biggest leaf, and in the camera here it looks okay, but I felt like this one looked a little bit pale too. But I did notice that it's putting on all kinds of new growth here around the bottom. So like I've got that one. There's like, that's a broken off leaf. That one's new. There's one coming out here. So I'm thinking that maybe it's just producing new growth. The old leaves will die off, that's natural. But I do want to just keep an eye on it, because if it starts to decline more, I want to get it out of the soil and check on the roots. And then my last problem child is my Syndaxes Trubii Moonlight. What's left of it. So this was one of those Costa ones that was a full pot. These are extremely temperature sensitive, I have found out. I had this one in my kitchen window, which is like one of those garden windows where it juts out. And you can, this is dying, you can see now. But this is pretty much what happened to the other half of the plant. It got really cold here. We had a few days where it was like -6 in the morning, and within a couple days, half the plant had turned yellow and brown. And it was dry at the time, so I knew it wasn't like a root rot watering issue, but it was a cold issue. And you can see some of these leaf tips still have damage. And the same type of thing happened to my Syndaxes Pictus argyrius. I took that one out last year. I think it was like 60 degrees, and I hosed it off and brought it back in. And just that little bit of cold compared to what it was used to, I got brown spots and black spots all over the leaves, and I had to cut away like half of it. So I have found out that Syndaxes are extremely sensitive to temperature. So now I've moved him out of the kitchen window. I've got him in a room where it's a little warmer. He doesn't get as much light, but I'm thinking that's okay. It'll just be slower growth, but I'd rather have it be healthy. So that's what we are doing now with this guy. And this pot I have him in, this is one of my favorite planters of all time. So this, cross your fingers. Okay, so that was for February, my 3 plants that are just killing it. And then some other ones that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, watching what happens. So let me know how your guys' plants are doing. Do you guys have any plants that are kind of roughing it through winter, not doing so great? Let me know in the comments. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.